It's a brisk, early morning in the quiet suburban neighborhood of Maplewood, just outside of Boston. The fog hangs low in the air, shrouding the quiet streets as the sun begins to break through the clouds. The sound of birds chirping fills the air, and everything seems peaceful, almost too peaceful. The idyllic scene would soon be shattered by a chilling discovery that would captivate the community, the nation, and eventually the world. Julie Parkin, a 34-year-old mother of two, had always been known in Maplewood as a caring, selfless single mother who doted on her children. Everyone knew her, and they all thought they understood her life. But when the early morning call came into the local police station, the perfect picture of Julie's life would begin to unravel. On that fateful morning, neighbors reported hearing strange noises coming from her house, a loud crash, followed by desperate, frantic screams. At 7:30 a.m., Julie Parkin's lifeless body was discovered by her 10-year-old daughter, Sarah, sprawled out on the kitchen floor, blood soaking her clothing and the walls. Julie's body had been brutally stabbed multiple times, and what made this crime even more shocking was the fact that it appeared to be a crime of passion. Who could have committed such a horrific act on a mother in her own home? Was it a stranger, or could the answer lie much closer to home? Before we dive deeper into the haunting details of Julie Parkin's story, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with anyone you think will be interested in this chilling true crime case. Your support helps keep us going and brings more gripping stories like this one to forefront. If you're new to the channel, be sure to catch up with our previous videos to immerse yourself fully in these gripping tales. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Maplewood, Massachusetts, is an affluent town just on the outskirts of Boston. The tree-lined streets and family homes painted in pastels create the illusion of serenity and suburban bliss. Most families in Maplewood lead seemingly perfect lives, children playing in front yards, dogs barking happily in the distance, and neighbors waving to each other over white picket fences. Julie Parkin, a native of Maplewood, was no exception. She had lived here her entire life, growing up in the same small house that she now shared with her two children, Sarah and Ryan. Julie's ex-husband had left her shortly after Ryan's birth, citing irreconcilable differences. She had worked tirelessly to provide for her children, often taking multiple jobs to make ends meet. By all outward appearances, she was a dedicated and loving mother, a woman who had put her children's well-being first. But beneath the picture-perfect surface, Julie's life was far from the flawless narrative her neighbors believed. Julie's relationships with others were often strained. She had a turbulent history with her ex-husband, who had been granted joint custody of the children, but had limited involvement in their daily lives. Julie's friendships, too, were often fractured by her sharp tongue and occasional outbursts. Even in the tight-knit community of Maplewood, Julie kept mostly to herself, rarely sharing personal details with others. But she did have one confidant, a woman named Emily Turner, a close friend who Julie had known since high school. Emily and Julie's friendship were one of the few things Julie cherished, but even this bond was marked by moments of tension. Emily had noticed in the weeks leading up to Julie's death that something had changed. Julie seemed distant, withdrawn, and agitated. She'd been drinking more than usual and seemed to be struggling with something, though she never let anyone in on what was really going on. It wasn't until a few days before the murder that Julie confided in Emily about a disturbing secret. Julie had revealed that she was being threatened, harassed by someone from her past. But she refused to elaborate further, leaving Emily uneasy and worried about her friend's safety. Was this threat the reason behind Julie's tragic death? And if so, who was behind the violence that claimed her life? When the police arrived at Julie's home, they were met with a scene of horror. Sarah, the 10-year-old daughter, was in shock, unable to process what had happened. She had woken up that morning to find her mother's body, but her screams had gone unheard as the rest of the household remained asleep. The crime scene itself was gruesome. Julie Parkin had been stabbed multiple times in the chest, her blood staining the walls around her. A large butcher knife was found discarded near her body, covered in blood. But there was something unsettling about the scene. There were no signs of forced entry into the house. The back door was unlocked, but that could have been an oversight. It didn't appear to be a robbery gone wrong. The police quickly began to question Sarah, but the young girl was too traumatized to provide much information. What they did know, however, was that Sarah had been awake when the incident occurred. She had heard the fight. She had heard the screams. Julie's ex-husband, Tom Parkin, was the first person they turned to as a potential suspect. The two had been involved in a bitter custody battle for several months leading up to the murder. Julie had even threatened to take full custody of their children, which had caused considerable tension between the two. Tom had reportedly been in town the night of the murder, and he was known to have a history of violence. But Tom denied any involvement. He insisted that he had been home alone that night, watching a movie. His alibi seemed weak, but with no direct evidence linking him to the crime scene, the investigators were forced to consider other suspects. As the investigation deepened, several troubling inconsistencies and red flags emerged. The police began to focus on a few key individuals in Julie's life, including Emily Turner, her best friend. Emily had been one of the last people to see Julie alive and had been in frequent contact with her in the days leading up to the murder. The police interviewed Emily extensively, but she remained steadfast in her denials of any involvement. She claimed she had no idea who would want to harm Julie and had been out of town on the night of the murder. But something about Emily's demeanor didn't sit right with the investigators. There were subtle inconsistencies in her story, and she seemed to avoid answering certain questions. When forensic experts combed through Julie's phone records, they discovered that she had received several disturbing texts in the days before her death. The sender was an unknown number, but the messages were threatening. Julie had never mentioned these texts to anyone, and it became clear that someone had been stalking her. Who was this person, and why had Julie kept their messages a secret? But the most shocking discovery came when the police uncovered something far more sinister: Julie's life insurance policy. It seemed innocent enough at first, until they discovered that Emily Turner had been named as a beneficiary. Emily had never mentioned this to anyone, not even Julie. What could have prompted Julie to make such a strange decision? Could Emily have been the one to kill Julie in order to cash in on the insurance money? As the investigation wore on, a few key questions remained unanswered. 1. Why did Julie keep the threatening messages a secret? Could she have been trying to protect someone? Or did she simply not believe that the threats were serious? 2. What was the relationship between Julie and Emily like? Could their friendship have deteriorated to the point where Emily felt betrayed or jealous? Or was there something darker at play? 3. What role did Julie's ex-husband, Tom, play in the murder? Was his alibi solid? Could he have found a way to stage the crime scene and set up a cover story? And 4. Why did Emily Turner name herself as a beneficiary of Julie's life insurance policy? Was it a simple oversight or a calculated move for financial gain? After months of investigation, the police finally had enough evidence to make an arrest. Emily Turner, Julie's best friend, was charged with first-degree murder. The motive? Money. Emily had been struggling financially and had seen an opportunity to take advantage of Julie's life insurance policy. But the case remained controversial. Some believed that Emily was framed, while others argued that Julie's ex-husband had a more significant role in the murder than initially believed. Despite the conviction, doubts lingered. Was Emily really the killer? Or was there a much darker secret hidden within Julie's past that had yet to come to light? As the case closed, the question still weighed heavily on the minds of those who followed the story. Was justice truly served? Or was this yet another case of a disturbing betrayal that no one saw coming? What do you think happened in this case? Do you believe Emily Turner was guilty, or do you think the truth is still out there? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who enjoy these gripping true crime stories. Stay tuned for more investigations, and thank you for watching.